Hello, everyone,
Yes.
and welcome. Yes, we are live. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another week of the Ubuntu community team Q&A with some very, very special guests. I'm David Planella from the Ubuntu community team. I'm joined by Daniel Holbach, also from the Ubuntu team. We've got Simon from well. He's a long-time contributor, and if you're reading the Ubuntu for mailing list, you've read his blog posts, you've read his work organizing the Ubuntu contest. He's starting to become one of our Ubuntu celebrities. And we've got Sujivan as well, who's one of the organizers for the contest and for the UbuCon, one of the conferences that we're organizing, or rather the community is organizing throughout the world this year in Berlin. Now, for the logistics, for those of you who are joining for the first time, you can see the live feed on ubuntuonair.com. You can ask your questions using the chat widget. Just remember to prefix them with the word question so that we can see them. Once we see them, then we will try to answer them straight away. Feel free to ask anything about Ubuntu, open source in general. The only thing that we tend not to answer are support questions. We've got other channels that are better suited for that. So, for example, Ask Ubuntu. And that was for the logistics, essentially. Daniel, I always forget the one bit about the logistics. Is there anything else we want to mention?
No.
Excellent. All right then. So I think without further ado, I think we will leave the stage for our very special guests. One thing that we've been running recently is the Ubu contest as the finale for the UbuCon the UbuCon in Berlin. And I know that Simon and Vish have got some cool announcements to do, but perhaps we could start with the whole story. Simon, how did this contest start? What was the initial idea?
Actually, there was no idea. It was just that when the first BQ phone came out, the E4.5, I bought too many of them. So I had one left, and it was just lying around in my flat at home. And so at some point I thought there must be something better than I can do with the telephone than just having it on my desk. So and I knew Sujivan from the Ubuntu Insiders, and then at that time, around the time I became an insider when the MX4 was presented. And we were talking about UbuCon and everything, and we somehow came up with the idea of doing a contest and give that phone to someone. So just I would sponsor the phone and we would give it to someone. But we didn't know how to do it, and it was complicated if we were going to do it alone. And then I talked to Poppy, and he referred me to you and Daniel. And then basically we made that big document where we put all of our ideas inside and all those categories we came up with, and then it escalated pretty quickly. So I would have never thought that out from just wanting to give away a single phone to one person, we would have this huge community contest in the end with 5 categories, like 50 participants in the end, I think, a whole judging panel, a whole international judging panel. Yeah. And it was a lot of work, and we spent the last 2 weeks getting all the votes in and coordinating all the points. And today we finally announced the winners. Yeah.
Excellent. I must say it's been a pleasure, and I think I speak for Daniel as well. I'm sure he will want to add something. It's been a pleasure to work with you guys on this. Essentially, this has been born out of a community initiative or of an idea from a community member, and they've been the driving force for this. And essentially, the only thing that we've been doing has been coordinating with them. But all of the kudos with the organization and all of the work goes to them. So yeah, we're looking forward to new initiatives like this.
+1.
Excellent. And before we go into the prizes, Sujivan, how has this worked with ubucon.de? I think one of the ideas was also to use the contest to promote participants to go to ubucon in Berlin. Could you tell us a bit about what you guys are organizing in Berlin this year?
Yes, so the ubucon this year is happening in Berlin from the 23rd to 25th. And yes, the Ubu contest was basically an idea to promote the ubucon. That's why also why the name is also the Ubu contest. So we weren't much internationally the last years. So I hope some winners are coming. And yeah, you guys also come. I know.
And looking forward to it. And looking forward to see everyone as well. ubucon Berlin, or ubucon.de, is one of our most long-standing ubucons throughout the world. I think was it the 7th year in a row that's been organized?
It's the 9th.
The 9th, wow. So it's an ubucon with lots of tradition. This year we'll have some speakers also from the community team. As Sujivan has said, we'll have Daniel and myself going there, and as I said, we're very much looking forward to meet everyone. All right then. Is there anything else that you guys want to add before we go for the prizes, or should we try to build some more anticipation?
Yeah, I want to add that we asked a lot of participants that sent in entries if they would come to ubucon in Germany, because part of the prize is that they can get money, a bit of money to get there. And lots of them actually said that if they are among the winners, then they will try to come to ubucon. So we have a bit of international participation, hopefully. And they gave us the feedback that if they are coming to Berlin, all the talks are in German. So we now have a couple of talks that are also offered in English, or are given in English to begin with, so we can then hopefully make it more attractive for international participation.
Brilliant.
Maybe leading to ubucon Europe next year. That's a good idea.
Do you already have an idea how many people are going to show up at the conference? How big it's going to be? How many days? What's happening there?
We actually have like 70 registered visitors so far. We expect up to 150. The last years we were mostly around about 100 visitors.
Mm-hmm. Cool, and it's from the 23rd to 25th of October, right?
Yeah.
So the entire weekend. Brilliant.
Okay, so I think everybody's waiting. Then live from a basement in Germany. It's been decorated a lot over the last couple of hours. I even have envelopes, like at the Oscars. And which category should we start with? Any ideas? Any suggestions? Individual entry, team entry?
Shall we start with best team entry, perhaps?
Best team entry? Yes. I think they do it the other way around, starting with the 3rd place and then going to the 1st or so.
Yep.
Go for it.
Then I start with team 2nd place, and it goes to Open Food Facts by Team Ubuntu FL. And they already announced that when they're going to win, they will come to ubucon. So So
excellent. So I think that would be a really good combination to work together with for UbuCon Europe as well. UbuCon France are one of our most popular UbuCons as well, along with Berlin in Europe.
Congratulations.
So,
Well done.
team first place goes to Fall Down by Team Remote. And it's a game, and it's already been the most popular entry in the store the last month.
Excellent. I think that's from Riccardo Padovani and Tim, if I remember correctly. Who's one of our crowd developers.
It's three guys, Riccardo, Mivoligo, and Mikkel, and one guy doing the audio, I think, the sounds.
Brilliant.
So, should we continue with individual entry?
Sounds good.
Individual entry, third place. Now it's we had 20 entries that qualified in that category, so everything is open. It is Wi-Fi transfer by Stuart Language. It's one of the utilities that's downloaded a lot, I hear. Then individual second place. This was unexpected. It's Click the Cookie by Jorik van Nielen. And apparently everybody who starts this game gets so addicted for at least an hour that it's quite surprising that it made second place. And now for individual first place. And it's Monster Wars by Simon Stürz. He lives in Austria as far as I know, so might be a good chance to come to UbuCon.
Excellent, congrats. The audience is saying if we could hold the cards for a bit longer so that they can see them. Perhaps we could repeat the winners.
Sure. Still have some categories left, or should I show them again, or?
Perhaps let's do a quick recap of the last category.
The last category, individual. So individual third place was Wi-Fi transfer by Stuart Language. Hope that was long enough. The individual second place was Click the Cookie by Jorik van Nielen. Sounds Dutch, maybe not that far away from UbuCon. And individual first place was Monster Wars by Simon Stürz.
Excellent.
Yes. So we also had some categories where we tried to recognize work that was not just on apps and scopes and games all the time. So also from people who are working on documentation or writing news articles all the time or providing design work and everything like that. So I'm starting with a outstanding non-technical contribution. And it goes to Kevin Feider, I think. Kevin Feider, it's pronounced. For all his design work that he has done on many apps in the store. I think he built a Ubuntu UI toolkit also. He did a lot of design work. And the outstanding technical contribution goes to Niklas Wenzel. And he has done a lot of work on the core apps, and some people might know him because he is working on the IMAP notifications. So if you finally get notifications for incoming emails on your phone that are not from Gmail, that's lots of his work. Yeah. We had one last category, and that was the Convergence Hero. And the idea was that maybe with all those convergence work we are doing, with all those desktop and phone and tablet stuff, maybe there will be some app that surprises us that leverages convergence in some surprising way. So, and the winner in this category, sadly, is the prize was not awarded. So the judging panel had the option to not award a prize, and we had lots of discussions about it, and it might have been too soon, because most likely it is easy to test stuff on the phone. It is easy to test it on a Unity 7 desktop most of the time if it's written in QML and stuff, but it might have been too hard to test it on different form factors. So actually, more than half of the app entries that were submitted work on a Unity 8 desktop out of the box. So Michael Zanetti, who is on the judging panel, he tried all of them. He has a nice screenshot with all of them working. But in the end, there was nothing surprising. And so after lots of discussions, we decided to not award this prize. That wraps it up.
And what do the winners get?
That depends on the first places. So the first prize winner for the individual entry and the first prize winner for the team entry. They get phones. They get a contribution that they can apply for if they want to go to UbuCon. It's 500 euros. They get stuff from the Ubuntu shop. They get special T-shirts we had designed, especially for the contest. The second prizes are also phones, stuff from the shop, and T-shirts. And the third place is stuff from the shop and T-shirts. And the winners in the outstanding contribution categories, so in technical and non-technical, they get special T-shirts we had designed, and I think stuff from the store too. Yeah, it is documented in the rules document. It is it ended up becoming a very long document in the end with all the rules inside. But so over the next couple of days, I think we're going to wrap it all up and contact the winners and have the prizes shipped, and we are going to have an award ceremony in Berlin at UbuCon. So everybody who comes to visit us, there will be a little show with showing off all the entries and maybe interviews with the people who did them, and but it depends on how many people actually travel to Berlin.
Excellent. Good work, everyone. Not only to everyone who submitted applications, but also I know that there was quite a lot of work organizing, not only organizing the contest, but also doing the judging and coordinating with the judging panel. So I'm really glad the contest has come up so well. And as I said before, I'm looking forward to go to UbuCon in Berlin in about, well, a bit less than a month. If you want to attend the UbuCon and you're still thinking about it, just don't think about it. Go to ubucon.de, find the registration, register, and then book your train or whatever to Berlin. We'll be waiting for you. All right then. So that was a really great presentation and start of the Q&A today with special backgrounds. I'm not talking about you, Simon. I'm talking about Daniel's background, by the way. Just kidding.
Really, sorry.
And cool. All right then. So I think we now enter the regular part of our Q&A. We've got a couple of other announcements to do, but we'll sprinkle them here and then with our with the questions that keep coming up. And with this, Simon, Sujivan, thanks a lot for organizing this. Thanks a lot for doing the presentation today. If you want to stay for the rest of the Q&A, you're most welcome to. Yeah, and keep up the good work, essentially.
Absolutely. Thanks again.
All right. Okay. So let's have a look if there are any questions so far while we did presentations.
So,
I think everyone was really interested in the contest organization and the and the prizes. Essentially, what everyone was listening in. All right. Okay. We've got a couple of questions coming up. Just a quick one from Pierre Ball. What are the usernames on Twitter and IRC of the guests, etc.? Let's start from my left to the right. We've got D. Holbach, that's Daniel there. We've got Stormflood, that's Simon. We've got Spish, Sujivan there, and myself is DPM. So feel free to ping any of us if you've got questions about Ubu contest, ubukon.de. In particular for the contest, you can ping the organizers. Cool. All right. Blue Dragon is asking, will Ubuntu exist after 15.10? I've not heard anything that would say or mean the contrary. So I'd say the easy answer is yes. I'm not sure. It'd be good to know the context of the question. Have you guys heard anything related to Ubuntu that might mean any changes? Anything that I haven't seen today on the social media?
You mean other than Microsoft buying Canonical?
Oh, yeah, that might have affected then. Yeah, no, not again. We're not getting bought again by Microsoft. All right. Okay.
There were
Next question.
A few questions a bit earlier already. Yeah, some folks got their questions in very early today. Pierre Ball asked, do you think that Patreon is the answer to the adblock for Chrome browser? They've joined adblock acceptable ads program, and so not to punish websites from regularly putting up intrusive ads onto the internet. I have no real opinion.
No, I think this is one of the questions where we can give you an opinion. I mean, you're free to ask any question, and it's a valid one. But I speak for myself as well. I'm not very much of an expert in Patreon and the relationship with AdBlock and the acceptable or whatever adverts program. So I'd say. Perhaps this might be something to bring on a discussion on another forum.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, Simon or Sujivan, do you have an opinion on this?
The only thing I know about Patreon is that they got hacked. That's pretty much all I know.
All right. Okay. So on that note, let's go to the next question. Daniel, was there any other one that had been asked before that we skipped?
Yeah. Just Karen asked what we do before the goes live.
Before what goes live? Sorry.
The stream goes live.
Oh, you don't want to know.
Boring stuff.
Yeah, essentially what we do is the preparation of the call. Usually we've got announcements as you guys see at the beginning of the hangout. So we wrap up the list of announcements. We get together, we chase any guests that might not be around. It wasn't needed today. The minute we gave the post to the link to Sujivan and Simon, they joined straight away, and then essentially we have a bit of a laugh before starting.
Right. Pierre Ball asked, in what year do you predict the Postal Service would have an Ubuntu Snappy app? I think it's going to be next year. Like I predict that there's going to be a huge increase in Snappy apps, be it from postal services or others. I'm sure there's going to be loads and loads and loads.
All right, I think we jumped over another question from Blue Dragon 77. is the unnamed US phone manufacturer still coming? I mean, we cannot make any announcement right now on this call. We can say that we're still working with US carriers to and manufacturers to get presence on the US market. One thing that might be interesting to know is that as we're inviting more and more guests on our Q&As, one of the persons, or rather one of the teams that we're considering to invite as well, is the product management team for the phone. And I think this might be a good question to direct to them in the upcoming weeks. All right. Global Figal is asking, why haven't we got all of the default scopes on BQ and Meizu phones in the store, and when can we see them? Photo, Nearby, and some others are still missing. I mean, what we did a while ago, and I'm just trying to remember the list of scopes. Just to give you a bit of background on this before answering the question. When we released the first phone with BQ, we decided to give some exclusive content to add value to the retail phones. And one of the ways that we did that was with some exclusive scopes that were available only on BQ. While we still want to do that, and while we still doing that for any new phones that come up. We also hear the words of the community, or rather the claim from the community, to have more of these scopes available. So a while ago, we started an initiative to open source some of these scopes, which were initially only on the images of, I say, retail phones. We opened most of the scopes. I even thought that photo was already open, and this might be something that we might want to do. But I mean, there will probably always be a scope that's exclusive to the manufacturer. I mean, you have to understand as well, even though that we are open source and we strive to have like 99% of the software that's open source, there's still some, let's say, value that manufacturers really want to have that's exclusive to them to make their product more attractive. I mean, the Nearby one is one of the ones where we haven't, we are not really planning to open source, but I think all of the other ones should be open source.
Okay. Okay, here's a question from Sad Day. How many canonical developers work on Ubuntu Phone? That's a bit hard to answer. If you wanted to recreate everything that's happening right now in Ubuntu on the phone and have put engineers on all the tasks, I think it would be 3 digits, at least 100+ people, because it's not just people who, let's say, work on Mir or work on Unity 8 or something, but it's also Launchpad is involved, people who build images. You would need loads and loads and loads of people. How many people in Canonical have phone something in their job title? I don't know. Probably dozens. I don't know. Not sure if the answer actually helped, but
I think it's helpful in the sense that that you get an idea of the scale. Another thing to say in addition to complement all that Daniel is saying is that depending on the projects, depending on the focus, we tend to reassign engineers to other jobs essentially, or to other projects. Right now, the phone is a priority, Snappy is a priority, and there's quite a lot of overlap between the projects. So some of the engineers that were originally working on the phone are now working on Snappy, but in the same way, the work that's been done on Snappy will be beneficial again for the phone.
Yep, that makes sense. All right, here's a question from Dubstar04. Is it possible to suggest topics for UOS? Yes. That was one of the things we wanted to mention during the show. We have the Ubuntu Online Summit coming up It's from the 3rd through the 5th of November. And it's basically, for those of you who haven't heard of UDS, UOS, any of these yet, it's basically where all the Ubuntu developers get together and discuss the plans for the next release cycle. So yes, very much so. We want everyone to come to online summit to discuss the plans and basically decide on the direction for the X release. Yeah. Anything else? We haven't set up Summit Ubuntu.com yet, but that's basically the site where you will be able to see the whole schedule, where you can suggest new sessions and so on. That's basically everything is going to revolve around that page. And it's going to be Hangouts on air, just like this one, where you have 1 hour to discuss a specific subject and then come up with work items for the next 6 months.
Excellent, and expect some more announcements on US this week. We're focusing on planning the summit, or doing the work with the logistics to set up summit, as Daniel was saying, and the tracks for the conference.
All right. Question from Blue Dragon 77: when the new Ubuntu installer comes, will it still support the small console output for troubleshooting purposes? I have no idea.
I think this is related to the blog post the design team did a few days ago, showing the new installer. That's essentially a converged installer. I don't remember saying I haven't been directly involved with that, so take this with a pinch of salt. But I haven't seen any terminal output in there. I'm not sure, to be honest. I mean, having installed Ubuntu more times than I want to admit, I'm not sure I've ever actually used the terminal output. I mean, it's good to see the progress, but I think there are better ways of reporting when there's been an error with the installer.
Yeah, it would surprise me if we would 100% take out all the logging and everything. I don't think that's going to happen. But I don't know any specifics of the redesign.
Yeah, and I think even if you cannot see the terminal on the installer, I'm sure you can get to the logs in any case, which are probably more useful.
Yeah. All right. Question from Chloe Wolfigirl: when do you expect to see Ubuntu pre-installed in stores for phones or desktops?
I can answer that.
Go ahead.
Well, at least in some countries you can buy Ubuntu phones and laptops in the store. I don't exactly know where you can buy. At least in India they can. In Germany you can at least buy some phones at some mostly online resellers. And I think in UK and Russia they sell Ubuntu laptops too, I think. And Dell is one of the bigger manufacturers who are selling Ubuntu laptops in their online store, even cheaper, and the acceptance of XPS 13 laptops, I think.
Excellent. Okay. Question from Ubuntu Touch France. In your opinion, what are the priorities that should have? Let me just reread. In your opinion, what are the priorities that the application Open Food Tags should have? I'm not English. Sorry for my language. First of all, you don't have to apologize. Your English is pretty good, and we're all non-English native speakers here, so not a worry about that at all. Secondly. Congratulations for being one of the winners of the contest, and then I don't know, perhaps we can do a roundtable. What do you guys think? Perhaps we should ask the judges or the organizers who have been dealing more closely with each one of the apps. What do you guys think?
Yeah, that's actually something I forgot to tell. our judges, when they assigned the points, they also added lots of comments on for the reason why they gave a specific application this amount of points and so on. We will try to communicate as much feedback, as much of this feedback back to the developers over the coming days. So as much as we can openly say, because it's obviously there were some apps that did not meet quality criteria, so it might not be nice to hear that everything about your app was bad. That's something we try to prevent. But in the case of Open Food Facts, I think one of my critiques was, I was not one of the judges, but I looked at all apps myself. So for Open Food Facts, it was that there is no settings dialog, for example. Or sometimes there was a dialog that said code not found. Or it would be nice if you could save your favorite foods or anything that goes beyond just searching for an entry in the database and then displaying it. So, but we have lots of feedback for all the other apps as well, and we will try to communicate it back.
Yeah, we can say that we had 5 different criteria, which was creativity, functionality, design, complexity, and conversions, where everyone in the judge could assign 0 to 5 points. So everything counted up made the final result, and yeah, the team with the highest point actually win.
Excellent. All right. Next question from Kill. What is the feedback from BQ and Meizu about the recent phones regarding sales numbers and customer feedback, etc.? Are they happy about how they turn out and might plan more Ubuntu touch devices in the future? The feedback essentially has been overwhelmingly positive. We intendedly targeted as well Ubuntu and tech enthusiasts to make sure the expectations were set clearly. In terms of numbers, this is not something that we're generally sharing. What we do share, but also in general terms, is the fact that for this first releases of the phone, regardless of the manufacturer, BQ or Meizu, one of our more important point is return rates, and from what we're getting, from the feedback that we're getting from the manufacturers, the return rates are very, very low. So this is something that's where both the manufacturers and Canonical are extremely pleased. So it seems that customers are really happy. I know that in particular that customers are particularly happy with the customer support from BQ as well. We work with them all of the time. They forward us questions, and we work very, very closely. I mean, not only right now, but we did this just before the launch of the phone, making sure that it was really tight and a product that was something that was usable, polished, and that had expectations, clear expectations. And yes, I mean, again, I won't be disclosing any information in here, but I'm pleased to say that there might be some more work coming in the future with the manufacturers. Essentially, we're continuing to grow this relationship with them.
Cool. A question from Sad Day. What can help speeding up Ubuntu convergence development? More developers, etc. I think that's a good question for the two of you. Simon and Sujivan, what do you think? How do we get more convergence in apps happening, I think?
I can come up with 2 issues at the moment. The one is that not all phone models that are out there that run Ubuntu can do convergence. So It's mostly the Nexus 4, the Nexus 7, and the upcoming BQ device. But as far as I know, the BQ E4.5, the E5, and the MX4 can't do it really at the moment. So and it's become quite hard to get a used Nexus 4. So you have to hunt for them on eBay or so. And the other thing is that there was a push to make it easier to install Unity 8 on your desktop with those LXC containers, but it hasn't been working for quite a while now. So in the end, for the normal developer who just wants to check if his QML app that he is developing at the moment on a Unity 7 desktop, he can test it on the phone, but everything else is a bit too hard at the moment. That might have been a reason why we didn't hand out a Convergence Hero category prize.
Anything you would like to add, Sujivan?
I think he pretty much said all important things.
Okay. Yeah, I think making it easier to have, or getting the current phone apps out to desktop users. I think once that happens, it's going to be more obvious and easier for developers to spot what needs to be fixed to get more convergence happening in apps. But what you said, I agree with. Yeah.
All right. So the audience is reminding us that we've still got quite a lot of questions and that we should hurry up to answer all of them. So let's see what the next one is. All right. Is Canonical going to be run over by Germans? It seems like a lot of developers in Germany.
Well, we can say that we all four are currently in Germany. And BQ also said that most of the phones went to Germany. So I think it's good that many Germans are working at Canonical.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not German myself. I live amongst Germans, and I'm an adopted German, essentially. So yeah, it seems Germany is taking the world of Ubuntu development.
I think many app developers are noticing that. I have 10 apps on the store, and on all of them, about 30% of the downloads are from Germany alone.
Excellent. So we're hoping to see many of them at the UbuCon in Berlin this year. So here's a hint for you guys to come and join us there.
Absolutely.
Okay, and we've skipped a question Daniel was telling me, so let's see if we can answer it. Blue Dragon 77 is asking, when Ubuntu Personal gets released, will the dev version with Unity 7 get a new theme just to keep visual consistency? That's a good question. I'm not sure I can answer it. I mean, I think that's what this one that we would have to direct to the design team. I'm thinking that it will probably be the case, but that's just my thinking.
Yeah, no idea.
Okay, Michelle R is asking on convergence. How do old Ubuntu.layouts? How does the old Ubuntu.layouts API and the new adaptive page layout fit together? That's a question perhaps better suited for someone on the SDK. I know that we did blog post recently on the developer side, but myself, I haven't really had the chance to test the new adaptive page layout. Have you guys in the call, any of you have had the chance to play with it and can answer? No? Okay, then probably the best thing to do is to ask at another Q&A where we've got someone from the SDK team, for example. Or even better, if you don't want to wait until then, you might just ask on the ubuntu/phone@lists.launchpad.net mailing list, and I'm sure you'll get a straight answer from there.
Cool. Blue Dragon 77 is asking, do you perhaps have the information that when the convergence phone comes, will it come packaged with a dock also would it support VGA and DVI screens? No idea.
Right. Yeah, we haven't got any information out there in terms of hardware or manufacturers. To be honest, I mean, I think right now the thing to look forward to is the convergence bits landing on the public images, and there you should be able to test convergence already with the Nexus 4 and Nexus 7 with an HDMI adapter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One thing. Sorry.
Yeah. About if it will support VGA and DVI screens. So in general, with phone hardware, with embedded hardware that we have right now that's on the market, they only support digital interfaces. So it's mostly HDMI and some cases DisplayPort, and you would probably have to invest even more money and hardware to convert it to DVI and even VGA. So I'm not sure that a device as small as a phone that has to fit a battery as large as possible and has to cut down on the number of chips can really be built, because lots of phones that are out there at the moment don't even have the possibility to attach an external screen, because they are leaving away that one chip that would be necessary. For example, that seems to have happened with the MX4, for example. Yeah. So the more interfaces you want to support, the more complicated it gets, the more expensive, and I don't really think that somebody out there is going to build a phone that can be connected to a VGA screen.
That was a well-informed answer.
Excellent. Glad we had you today on the Q&A.
I mean, what you need to bear in mind is that Ubuntu is a lot about the software, and Canonical is a software company. So whenever a phone or a device gets announced, that's mostly the announce of the hardware vendor. So specifications and stuff like that, that's going to be their announce. So you probably won't hear from us if there's VGA cables in the package. Cool. Moving on.
All right. So Chloe Wolfigel is asking, will Canonical put commercials on TV to get a bigger view? I think the same in some countries. Ubuntu isn't unknown, but I know in the UK it's rare to find anyone who knows what Ubuntu is, and I imagine this is the same in the US. I feel like a lot of Ubuntu users are just preaching to the choir when talking and trying to show off Ubuntu. That's actually a really good point. I mean, we're continually thinking of ways and working on ways to get some more awareness of Ubuntu outside of our Ubuntu like closer community. I mean, in the past we've run different initiatives. We've run commercials on billboards. We've run commercials on airports. I remember the Taiwan airport commercial was quite popular one, and we're working with partners as well. So, for example, with Lenovo or Dell, who are pre-installing Ubuntu on their devices to collaborate on advertisement as well. In terms of Canonical producing or Canonical creating a commercial on TV, you have to think as well that commercials on TV are extremely expensive. So we have to think very carefully where we put our money. Essentially, just to put it very clearly. Especially in the US, I think our resources are better spent right now to create the groundwork and the conversations with the carriers and manufacturers to get the phone out there, and then we can think more about the marketing side of things. I mean, it's not that the marketing comes after. We're working on marketing already. What I'm trying to say is that for the scale where we would be producing a commercial on TV, I think we would have to be on another magnitude of sales for the phone. All right. Okay. Blue Dragon 77, do you think it would be good for the phone industry if all of the phone manufacturers agreed on a phone BIOS standard so that you can install phone OSs on a phone without porting like you do on a PC? I think I would like the BIOS sensor itself to die myself, so that there's no need for a BIOS anymore. But I don't know. I mean, Simon, you're more of an expert on this. Perhaps you have your view.
I completely agree with the question, and to be honest, I have never really understood why we have laptops and desktops and servers where you can install pretty much any operating system you want, and then you buy a phone that it is as expensive as like a good desktop. It can do pretty much the same things, but I'm forced to use the one operating system it comes with. And if I go to great lengths, I can maybe install a variant of it. For example, I can substitute the Android that was installed with CyanogenOS OS or something, but I can't install Ubuntu out of the box. Some devices are even locked down, yeah. And it would be nice to have. It is coming. There is finally a standard specification by ARM, the company that makes that designs most of the chips that are inside our embedded systems, to make this possible. But in the end, as long as the manufacturer also ships a modified version of some operating system with his pre-installed apps and everything, there are interests that are colliding. So we want phones where we can do anything we want, and manufacturers like Samsung are giving us a version of Android that comes with all the Samsung apps to bind us to Samsung services. So we have had a similar situation with PCs and laptops, and there we had to escalate it to the regulatory agencies. So we had to go to court to force everybody to stop trying to build monopolies. Maybe that is necessary for phones too at some point.
Cool. All right. Okay, we've got about 5 minutes. I think we might want to pick up a couple of questions and then use the last few minutes to do some of the announcements that we wanted to do in the beginning. Any one of you wants to pick a particular question?
Yeah, the next question is actually pretty good. From Ubuntu user, will we have apps running in the background on the Ubuntu phone? This was actually a big topic started by Sturmflut a couple of days ago on the mailing list, because that's one of the biggest problem I see, and he also sees why you can't run like VoIP messengers or other messengers or email clients. Or again, he can explain it a bit better than me.
I might be remembered for that email forever because it has like 80 answers or so up till now. So it's a really big topic on the mailing list, and it is something that will have to be done at some point, because there are apps that absolutely have to run in the background to provide their services. But I agree that it's very hard to get right. Because if you have an application just running in the background doing whatever it wants, then it can if it has an error in the code and just wastes your battery, then suddenly your device turns off and you don't know why. And this is actually a problem that happens sometimes on other platforms, and we have to come to some kind of solution. And it's a really complex topic. We will have to do it, but as you can see by the sheer size of that thread on the mailing list, it's not completely easy to do, sadly.
Yeah, what I would recommend as well is that if you're interested on this, to continue the conversation on the mailing list. I mean, this is something that we can give you some context on during this call, but certainly it's a bigger topic that I don't think we should be able to solve today in the time that we've got left. All right then. So Before we wrap up, let me make a couple of final announcements, and let's see if we've got perhaps time to squeeze in another question. We've mentioned the UbuCon and the UbuCon contest happening in Berlin from the 23rd to the 25th of October. We've got another event coming up, which is quite interesting for those of you in India. There's an event called the Mobile Developer Summit coming up, and we've got Canonical and Ubuntu are sponsors of the event, and we're organizing a hackathon as part of the conference. If you want to know more how to join, how to subscribe, and how to attend, make sure you go to insights.ubuntu.com, and you'll see all of the details on the blog post. We'll be sharing this on our regular social media accounts as well, and you'll find all of the information. I mean, if you're in India, if you're in Bangalore, or if you're planning to travel to India, that might be a good event to attend to. That's actually in 10 days, so time to book your flights if you haven't done it and you're planning to attend. That's on the 15th to the 16th of October. You can actually do a world tour to attend this and then go to the UbuCon Berlin. All right. And the other reminder that we've got every week is to check out the Ubuntu On Air account on YouTube and on Google+. We've got Jose Ray, who's the main driver and an organizer of Ubuntu On Air, and he reminds us each week that we need to let everyone know that they can follow Ubuntu On Air on social media. Then you'll get notifications on when an event is happening, not only the weekly Q&A, but lots of other things are happening around Ubuntu On Air. And then I think in terms of announcements, that's pretty much it. Was there anything else from you guys that you wanted to add?
No, not from my end.
All right then. So I think with this, we've still got quite a lot of questions today. So I'd say if you want, feel free to send them to the phone mailing list. That's ubuntu-phone@lists.launchpad.net. We will try to answer some of them on IRC, but I'm not sure if we'll manage to do them just after the call. Other than that, I'd like to thank everyone for the questions each week, and today in particular, it was a really, really question-full Q&A. Thanks a lot, Simon, Sujeevan, and everyone who's contributed with the Ubuntu contest and UbuCon organization, in particular to the judges as well. We're not here today, but we've been doing an excellent job at rating all of these applications and giving feedback to app developers. And with that, I think we can wrap it up for today and say goodbye to everyone until next week.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Cheers.